Hi everyone, welcome back to Stardew Valley. My name is Less Than Trees, and today we are revisiting my farm, Nutcracker Farm, named after the Tchaikovsky ballet. We're waking up on a nice, sunny spring morning to the day of the egg hunt in the town square. I have never won it. Every year, Abigail wins it. And it's really bizarre because when you talk to the villagers, they kind of say the same thing every year, even though theoretically there's the passage of time. So it's really quite bizarre and loopy. We're just collecting some of the forageable plants in our farm because I picked the forest farm when I made this farm. So all these little dandelion, wild horseradish roots just kind of emerge in these grassy areas on the farm. It's pretty handy if you want to improve your foraging skills. But if you prefer to focus on something else like fishing or mining, people tend to choose a different farm layout. Or if you just would like the maximum possible space to cultivate your crops, people choose the standard farm, which I think has the most number of squares for you to plant crops or do other things. We're saying hi to our animals as usual because we want them to love us and to produce the best possible items. Because this is kind of a capitalist society, we want our animals to create really nice items so we can make a little more money. I have more than 1,000,000 coins in the game, which I kind of wish would happen in real life, but maybe not right now. Now is not the time to be making $1,000,000 when I've barely started my career. Maybe one day we can all dream of having a little more money so that we can treat the people in our lives, treat ourselves, have a little more freedom to do what we like to do. I saw a post on Reddit recently that said, you don't actually want more money, you actually want the freedom to do what you want, and wealth or high income is a way to achieve that goal. I think that's quite true. There's the old saying that money can't buy happiness, which isn't wrong because if you have certain underlying issues in your life, just by having a lot of money, that may not quite solve it. And of course, there's also, from a purely economic point of view, the diminishing utility of money. So past a certain point, the more money that you have, the less the incremental amount of happiness it brings you. I think that's pretty true. But I do think that having more money or more resources provides advantages in life that could potentially increase your opportunities to pursue happiness or freedom, or just for you to indulge in what gives you a little more joy. Right now, it's kind of difficult to think of joy in our lives. I think for you, for other people, for me, because there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, but sometimes we just have to try our best and make do with what we have. It's a little sad, but I think the whole situation that I found myself in has made me reflect more on what is important to me in life and kind of made me look at my priorities once more. So we are in the town square, and this is the Egg Festival. I know every year people say the same thing, but I still click on their little villager avatars to talk to them. Maybe I'm just being sentimental or putting too much of myself in this, but I imagine that this is an actual event, and in an actual event, I would definitely want to say hi to everyone here because I'm good friends with everyone in the village, including Linus, who is actually a really cool guy. I think in a different save file that I don't have on this PC, he was one of my first best friends in the game. So the first person that I got the 10 heart friendship level with, because he's just really cool and he lives life according to what he wants and has time to appreciate nature and everything that's around him. That's definitely an attitude that more of us could adopt in our lives. No matter how busy we are, just stop and look at what's around us and appreciate the little things there. Of course, that's easier said than done. I think something that a lot of people don't acknowledge is that it takes some privilege, or quite a lot of privilege, to say, hey, look at everything that's around me. Isn't it beautiful? Look at the trees, the flowers. Because there are people who don't live in such beautiful environments. And it's pretty unfortunate that that's true. But we can change that. We can pay more attention to what's around us, not just in our immediate circles, but also what's happening across the world, what's happening in places that may not directly affect us, but which affect our entire society or civilization as a whole. Over here, I'm just trying to talk to every person. And here's Sebastian and his good friends Sam and Abigail. So there we have an egg basket. I think if you kind of sneak around and get a good feel of the town, it is possible to devise an optimal path. We can't go into the sewer right now, but we can go later to see our friend Krobus. Yeah, so I think that if you get a good look around, it's possible to think of a route that would make sure you get all of the eggs in the shortest amount of time and beat Abigail on the egg hunt. But honestly, that seems like a lot of effort for a game that I'm just playing because I want to relax and chill out. So I'm just going to take it easy and look around. All of the exits to the town are blocked, so you can only go out through the main entrance leading from our farm, which may be a strategic decision on Pierre's part, because then whoever wants to leave the town square have to pass by Pierre's little stand where he's selling stuff. So that's really smart. I think that's something a lot of concert organizers also do. You have to pass by the merch table to get out, and you feel compelled to spend some of your remaining money on what's around you. The egg hunt is starting right now, and the kids are super excited. Mayor Lewis, year after year, just doing the same rituals with the villagers. So now you can witness me trying really hard to at least get a few eggs in the hunt. But unfortunately, probably not likely to succeed this time round. not like I have succeeded in my past tries. I think honestly that there is an optimal way to do it, but I don't know. And right there, I accidentally clicked on the tombstone instead of the egg. Says our beloved Mona. People have speculated about who Mona is. People think it might be a past villager who died. Maybe it's one of the current, more elderly villagers, former spouse, partner, whoever. We don't really know. It's just a mystery to us. I mean, if I were the game developer, I might put an inside joke with my friends on one of the tombstones. I would put like R.I.P. Vinny the 13th or something like that. Congratulations, Abigail, for winning the egg hunt again at the egg festival. I kind of wish this was something that would actually happen. It seemed really fun. And just think of all the fresh egg dishes that you can taste at the festival. I wonder what your favorite egg dish is. It would be really fun to know. I mean, I don't really have enough viewers right now to form a discussion community about our favorite egg dishes. But I think among my friends, people enjoy scrambled eggs. That's a classic. Depends on how you make it. Some people prefer it to be a little juicier and less cooked. Some people prefer them well done. I guess the official term is like over easy or medium or something, but I don't really know. I'm not a chef, and I'm not one of those people who have such a strong passion for cooking that they buy like cookbooks and stuff. I don't do that. I just Google recipes and save some of them. So over here, I still have the monster setting on for my farm, so you can see like bats and monsters of the night emerging. I will turn that off later in the game because it's quite bothersome to have to battle these monsters and other creatures. And right now we are going to sleep because sleep is important whether you're in a video game or not. Made some more money today, not a bad sum. Could do a little better, but it's all right. I wonder how it's like to actually live in a house as large as the one that you could get in Stardew Valley. I mean, this is a pretty big house, at least to me, because I live in a city which is very dense, so you don't really have space for huge houses like that. But I mean, near my school, in other countries, there are definitely houses that are as large as this or much larger. I think I was really shocked when I visited Long Island, and one of my friends drove us into the inner parts of Long Island, so further away from Manhattan. And there were all these huge mansions by the ocean. There was this house that had like a row of maybe 10 windows, French style, from floor to ceiling. Looked like it was a mini Buckingham Palace. And there were other houses that, are owned by the really, really wealthy because you can't even see the house. You just kind of see a small sign and a driveway leading away, curving behind some vegetation, shrubbery, well-manicured hedges that block your view. So, in those cases, when you can't even see the actual house, you know that this person is really, really wealthy and they are just kind of living it up in their private mansions away from the view of the general public. One of my friends and I were also talking about how when we pass by houses with really large gardens and lawns near our school, it kind of still surprises us that people actually live this way in the suburbs of the US or in other countries where they have a lot of land and this is the common living situation. When I was younger, I've always wanted to live in a house with a nice garden, with maybe space for a tree house, for a tent, or some other things like that. But living in a city where I have all these material comforts that are indoors around me, that just kind of took away my desire to really be outdoors and experience all that's around. I think now I'm still trying to find that original interest that I had when I was younger, but I don't know if it's because I'm older or because I keep watching true crime docu-series that sometimes I get a little afraid about even just going hiking or camping somewhere. This is a kind of a dumb reason, but I have very sensitive skin. So sometimes when I go outdoors, the heat, the humidity, the bugs, they cause strange things to happen on my skin, like areas that itch or areas that flare up in hives or itchy red spots. It's not as common now as before, but it still happens. It's quite frustrating because I've been to a few doctors and there wasn't really anything they could do about it other than prescribe hydrocortisone cream and stuff like that. But those are more of temporary relief solutions. And as a result, I think I'm just staying away from things that could irritate my skin. When I buy makeup and skincare products, I have to look at the list of ingredients very carefully to make sure that there's nothing in there that could irritate my skin. I kind of wish I had a tougher layer of skin that could just withstand whatever, doesn't get sunburned, doesn't get all these strange reactions to strange vegetation and climates and bugs. But that's too unfortunate. I guess the bright side is that I don't really get acne. I've never had serious acne in my life. Even when I was a teenager, I got a few pimples and zits and stuff here and there, but not really that much. So I guess I'm pretty lucky in that regard. I also have very small pores on my face. So that's good because it makes it easier to clean out your face. If you have enlarged pores, then it's more difficult because you have to kind of wash your skin a lot more, put more moisturizer, use special face masks and products to get the dirt out of your pores. And not all of us have the privilege of having time or money in our lives to be able to do that, contrary to what a lot of YouTubers and online personalities lead us to believe. Sometimes I watch videos of celebrities doing their 40-step skincare routine, and honestly, no one has time for that. That's way too much effort. No one wakes up in the morning and spend 3 hours on their skin. unless you make a living using your skin and your physical appearance. I don't really see much of a purpose in doing something so complicated. Or unless you have like skin issues or diseases that need a lot of tender, loving care. Otherwise, I'm not really sure that's something most people would do. Help wanted notice from Clint. Yeah, 40 copper ores. That's not really worth it. I think it's worth it if you're already planning to enter the mine, but I'm not in this case, so another day. Here we're just buying some seeds from here that we can plant for the rest of spring. A lot of kale. Kale is very controversial. Some people love kale and other people really hate it. It has such a polarizing taste and texture to it. Much like politics. It's very polarizing. I guess next time someone asks you for a metaphor, you can say that politics is like kale. Some people hate it, some people love it. Everyone has an opinion on it. Everyone consumes it in different ways. It's really crazy. Haley's birthday and we're giving her pink cake. We are such lovely friends. Here's the playground. I don't think there's much that you can do at the playground except occasionally meet people there if you want to find them. And spoiler alert, if you play the game and you find the secret notes, then one of the objects in the notes can be retrieved from the playground. I'll let you figure out what that is. It's a very adorable object, and I have it in my house in the game. I wish I had it in real life, but I don't. Too bad. Here's the mayor. He seems to think he's a great mayor. That's questionable because he doesn't really do anything except garden, talk to people, go to the saloon, buy stuff from Pierre, and romance Marnie. It's really bizarre because when you first enter the game, it's kind of up to you to restore the whole community center and stuff like that. I mean, if Lewis has been mayor forever, then he probably could have done something about it. Maybe he just didn't have that spark to connect with the Junimos and have their help in restoring the community center, but he could have kind of just asked the wizard. I'm sure the wizard would have done something if he was asked nicely. It's more of like the villagers are afraid of the wizard, and as a result, they're like, it's the strange man in the purple tower in the jungle. He's so creepy and dangerous. Maybe that's a lesson that if you want to discover the nice things in life, you have to be tolerant of other people. You have to be open to them, just like the player has to be in this game to be able to befriend characters like the wizard, the dwarf, Pam, Krobus. So I guess that's the message, if you will. Here we have my all-time favorite couple in the game, Robin and Demetrius. I think it's really cool because they are such a capable power couple. We have Robin, who can build anything from all these raw materials. We have Demetrius, who's a really cool scientist, talking about mushrooms and soil and all that stuff. Back to our good friend Lewis, just chilling by the campfire doing his thing. Here we are going to the bathhouse or spa. We have to go in through the so-called women's locker room. Gender is still kind of binary in this building, I guess. Although the one thing that I think is really positive is that in the game you can marry eligible bachelorettes or bachelors of the same gender as your avatar. So that's pretty cool. Here's our bathhouse. If your energy is really low and you don't really have like food or other items, you can just go into the bathhouse and soak in the water until your energy level goes up. This is really nice. I honestly wished I lived next to a huge bathhouse like this. Whenever I visit a hotel, I look for a bathtub and I just soak myself in it for hours. It's so relaxing. And my dream is to one day live somewhere where I can go to a bathhouse or a hot spring really easily. I think it's a wonderful way to de-stress. I'm a big fan of swimming, just soaking in bodies of water, even if that's just a bathtub. So apparently Demetrius loves strawberry. That's great to know. And a man of culture that we approve of. It's kind of sad because I'm still thinking about the bath stuff. My apartment is small and the shower is really small and it doesn't have a bathtub. One day when I get my own place and I have a bit of money to pay for a nice place, I'll probably rent out an apartment that has a bathtub that I can use. That'll be really sweet. I do think bathtubs are more common in certain areas of the world than others. And it's definitely hard to get an apartment or a house with a bathtub if you live in one of those very densely populated areas. Collecting our produce from the greenhouse. This is a little unrealistic because I think if you grow plants in greenhouses, they may not necessarily have the same quality as plants that grow outdoors, but I could be wrong. I'm just speculating. It's only because I try a lot of produce that are imported and which are grown in greenhouses because they're out of season. But if you do visit like a farm or somewhere which is near a lot of farms and you try the produce that is recently just taken out of the soil, I think it's definitely very different. So here we have to battle this tiny red slime, one of the few creatures of the night who appear on our farm. I honestly think that this game could be quite dark if you think too much about it. We have all these arcane mysteries floating around the town. Fortunately, they are quite harmless in Stardew Valley, but I think there's like a version of it, not by the same developer, but by someone else, where it's also a farming RPG, but it gets dark pretty quickly, where there are a lot of deadly and sinister mysteries lurking around. I don't remember the name, but I'll maybe find out and maybe try it out. Although I do think that if I were to play a video game that involves farming and having a lovely house to live in, I would prefer if it was free from macabre phenomena that could happen. There's just too many things that are already creepy and awful enough in the real world that honestly, sometimes I'm not really afraid of scary movies and stuff because I just turn off the TV, go back to my life, and I'm like, that's a lot more terrifying. So why would a ghost jumping out of a closet in a movie scare me anymore when there's like murderers and corrupt politicians and pedophiles out there? It's quite late at night in the game, and we should be going to sleep very soon. A few times in the game, I've not gone to sleep and just collapsed somewhere. And that's not something you want to do in Stardew Valley, because then the next morning when you wake up, you get charged a hefty bill from someone who has to bring you back. Here we're just finishing up some little things on our farm, things to be tidied and taken care of. Not too much of it though. I feel like maybe one day I'll put in enough effort to put those barrels and kegs on a nice floor instead of just dumping them on the soil of my farm, but I doubt that's really going to happen. It's 1 a.m. It's a great time to go to bed. There we are. Finally, the end of a long day. Don't you love the feeling of just sleeping after a tiring day? Good night, and I'll see you next time.